Hey guys, everything new under the sun here. Here's an article from BusinessInsider.com. This is Peter Schiff now, speaking of the US, and looking ahead, predicting of sorts what will happen in the US. Now, I did a video about negative interest rates in Japan, and we know they're doing it in Sweden, and the Eurozone central banks are doing negative interest rates. Peter Schiff now comes out, and he speaks about the US. We're going to have a serious recession and negative interest rates before the election. So the US election is this year, November this year, and he says negative interest rates before the election. Based on today's GDP release, it appears that the US economy is slowing down but not near any sort of massive collapse. Peter Schiff begs to differ. The CEO and chief global strategist of Euro-Pacific Capital also noted Perma-Bear said that serious economic destruction is just a few months away. I think the Fed is going to have negative interest rates before the election because we're going to be in a serious recession. Fascinating. Before the election, next couple of months, he's saying the U.S. Federal Reserve is going to go negative. That means the people maybe are going to actually not be going to a safe haven dollar, but maybe they'll actually be going to gold and silver and precious metals. In fact, Schiff said that we may already be in recession. This one is going to be a doozy. We're in worse shape now than in 2007. I think everybody agrees. All the people I hear agree that it's worse than it was in 2007. Chief among his concerns is a growing bubble of debt that has accumulated in the U.S., which he said is even bigger than the real estate bubble that burst in 2008. He said that there isn't as much debt in the real estate sector, but the total sum of debt from student loans, auto loans, government debt, and the Fed's balance sheet is massive. According to Schiff, this total is by far bigger than what we saw before, either the housing bubble or tech bubbles. Fussy Beans coffee. Once this bubble pops, and Schiff fears that it may already have, the following recession will force the Federal Reserve's hand that will make them pull interest rates into negative territory, much like the Bank of Japan's move Friday. I just did a video on that. The Fed is going to go negative because they want to do something stimulative to try and boost the economy, so the Republicans or someone like Donald Trump don't just walk away with the election. That Democrats don't just walk away with the election, he's suggesting. They're going to blame the downturn on overseas weakening, washing up on our shores, to try and convince us that our economy is all right. So they're going to say, Janet Yellen's going to come out and say, look, we have to go to negative interest rates in the U.S. because Japan is having trouble. They've went negative interest rates because the Eurozone is having trouble. Because Russia and China are having trouble. We need to go negative interest rates because of that. They're not going to admit that the U.S. economy is having a lot of trouble. Goes on. Now, this isn't exactly a new observation by Schiff. He has been calling for similar disasters for some time now. The common counter-argument to Schiff's pessimism is that while manufacturing in the U.S. has slowed, American consumer spending really drives the economy. As we learned Friday, consumption rose 3.1% in 2015 and most of the decade. Schiff, however, thinks that this isn't as strong as it seems. Most of the growth has been in things like healthcare. It's not that consumers are spending more on things, and you can think of yourself, are you spending more or less, and what are your friends doing, spending more or less? It's not that consumers are spending more on things they want, they just have healthcare and they're being forced to pay more for it. So in the US they have Obamacare, and if you've been following any mainstream news, I haven't followed it a ton, but you know that their premiums continue to increase and they're paying more and more. What happened was they didn't have, federally funded or whatever healthcare or federally organized healthcare, and once they were forced to take Obamacare, all of a sudden you have all these sick people piling on healthcare and saying, "Well, I'm paying for it now. What? Why don't I go use it?" And so the healthcare system is now saying, "Well, we didn't realize there were so many sick people." All of a sudden, these sick people came and started trying to get healthcare because they started paying for it. So they figured they'd go and use it, and they just didn't have the money for that. So the premiums went up for everybody. So what's going to happen when the one thing's keeping consumers afloat, low gas prices, disappears? Simple, they're going to sink. Schiff also pointed to the recent earnings disappointments from retailers like Macy's and Gap. as well as online sellers like Amazon and eBay, as signs that things simply don't look good. We are headed for a real economic collapse, Schiff said, the order of magnitude of which will be much greater than the 2008 crash. That's really the line to remember. Regardless of what happens, even if there's no Bible prophecy happening right now, the math doesn't lie, the numbers don't lie. We are in debt far over our head, way more than 2008. They've not let the markets correct themselves like a proper capitalistic market would do, free market, a good free market would do. A free market would correct itself, take a drop, everybody would get haircuts, and then we'd start from a fresh level with proper pricing and no froth in the markets. But they've not let the market correct. So we're going to see a massive, massive crash, which is going to hurt all the little people, you and I, but all the bigwigs are all getting prepared for this. They're all buying precious metals. They're all getting into assets that are going to hold them through this. They're all making a boatload of money while they, on the market up bounces. And any smart money is pulled out of the economy basically by now. So I agree with Schiff, and he's been saying it for years, and it should have happened for years, because if there wasn't manipulation, the market should have crashed already for a number of years. It should have crashed way back in 2008, but they didn't let it crash. They did quantitative easing, they printed money, they lowered interest rates, they didn't let the market correct itself. So we are heading for an even bigger collapse when this happens. So this is it, and I agree with him, and he's suggesting before the next election. So now we have a time frame. So I'm thinking in the next couple of months we're going to see negative interest rates, and the next thing is cashless society, and that rolls right into Mark of the Beast territory when we go digital currency, cashless society. So pay attention, heads up. Please subscribe if you appreciate it, and the most important thing is I hope you know Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior. We are getting near the end times. The economy is heading downwards. Use wisdom, prepare. Even if the Lord doesn't return in the next 50 years, you should prepare, and you should know this information so that you are able to provide for your family. And I do believe that we are in the end times. I think the Lord's return is very near. So I think the most important thing of all is to make sure you have your heart right with Jesus Christ.